Dear friends, welcome to another episode in the fantastic world of military. In this video, we will talk about two major NATO military exercises taking place along two Russian borders, and about the pressure exerted by Ukraine's allies, involving the deployment of troops on the ground. With all this, Vladimir Putin was led to further reinforce his nuclear threats. On Monday, March 4th, NATO began its first military exercise in Finland, the Nordic Response 2024, consisting of 20,000 soldiers from 13 countries, with Finland contributing 4,000 military personnel. This exercise will last 2 weeks and will involve maneuvers also in Norway and even in Sweden, which, despite not yet having officially entered the alliance, got the green light after recent ratification by Hungary. Also on Monday, March 4th, the alliance announced the start of another large military exercise, also consisting of 20,000 military personnel, but taking place in a region known as the Suwalki Gap, a stretch of less than 62 miles that separates Belarus from the Russian territory of Kaliningrad. According to NATO's statement, this exercise will involve, in addition to the 20,000 military personnel, about 3,500 combat vehicles simulating a Russian attack against that strategically important region. But why is the alliance conducting two such large exercises in areas so close to Russia? And what has been Vladimir Putin's reaction to this show of force by the alliance? The purpose of the exercise in Finland is to align strategies and coordinate integration with the so-called NATO standard, a long series of norms and standardizations that govern everything from how documents should be written to the caliber of weapons, including air, land, and naval doctrines. The goal of all this is to ensure that, if needed, all members of the alliance will be able to fight together as if they were one unit. Moreover, as NATO had never conducted maneuvers in Finland, it is also an excellent opportunity to better understand the particularities of that terrain. With Finland being known for its very difficult geography, dotted with small lakes and swamps, an especially challenging environment for winter combat, with temperatures that can be as low as 4 degrees Fahrenheit. As for the other alliance exercise, which will take place between Poland and Lithuania in the Suwalki corridor, the purpose is to reinforce presence in what is seen as the alliance's Achilles heel. Looking at the map, we see that it is a region, with very few cities and with the nearest military base located almost 93 miles away. Therefore, in case of war, Russia, in coordination with Belarus, is capable of isolating the Baltic countries through the Suwalki corridor. It is precisely to prepare for this eventuality that the exercise with 20,000 alliance soldiers will take place there. According to NATO's note, this exercise will also explore other facets of modern combat, with emphasis on logistics and the movement of troops and vehicles by roads, which is why 3,500 vehicles will be employed in this exercise that, according to the alliance, will cover close to 1,140 miles of roads through Poland and Lithuania. No deep analysis is needed to deduce that these exercises in Finland and the Suwalki corridor specifically target Russia. In the case of Finland, as I explained in other videos on the channel, the country was literally catapulted into NATO after Vladimir Putin launched his invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. Before the Russian invasion, the majority of Finns were opposed to joining the alliance. But after the invasion, Finnish society's opinion changed radically, with the majority now supporting it, thus breaking a long period of almost 80 years of neutrality and non-alignment that began after the end of World War II. Although Putin used NATO's approach to Russian borders as one of the arguments for the invasion of Ukraine, Russia did not react especially angrily to Finland's entry into the alliance in April 2023. However, since the end of last year, the tone of Putin's threats has been progressively increasing, with the Russian General Staff even announcing an increase in the deployment of missile launchers along the Finnish border. These military exercises of the alliance coincided with statements by French President Emmanuel Macron, who, at the end of February, said that the deployment of alliance military personnel to Ukraine cannot be excluded. For the French president and many other European leaders, Ukraine is not only fighting for its freedom, but also for the freedom and security of the entire European continent, with many leaders believing that Putin's victory in Ukraine would pave the way for future wars that could even directly affect some NATO member countries, especially Finland and the Baltic states. And it is precisely to prevent a Russian victory in Ukraine that President Macron said that military deployment cannot be ruled out. As you can well imagine, Such a statement deeply displeased Vladimir Putin. NATO has 4 times more soldiers, 5 times more planes, and 7 times more ships than Russia. A numerical superiority that, if used in Ukraine, will result in an inevitable Russian defeat. This leads Putin to state that, if this happens, Russia will have no choice but to use nuclear weapons, with the Russian leader even declaring that NATO will not even have time to blink. With Ukraine struggling with the lack of weapons and ammunition due to the halt in aid by the Republican Congress of the United States, and with Donald Trump expected to win the presidential elections, promising to distance himself from Europe and NATO, European countries may have no other alternative but to directly enter that war, even at the risk of Putin, in the face of the prospect of defeat in Ukraine, deciding to take the most drastic and terrible of measures. And if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe and activate the notification bell to not miss any news, criticisms, ideas, or suggestions. You can leave them in the comments.